It's not often that a game surpasses typical art for heavy craft and vividness. Lunar Pinball isn't exactly a whole crowd pleaser, because there's two worlds to choose from: nuclear war or hell. But each visual adds onto the next one in fantasy towards a bright future for the pinball lover who chooses some mid-games like this one wisely. Flippers range between anything from warplanes to reptile heads, dude. Passing between levels in Lunar Pinball is like taking a penguin out for ice skating in Pango for the Atari 5200, although the Atari Jaguar can prove, through excellent definition and audio, how demons corrupt the blood and nuclear power withholds the aggression. Lunar is the first world geared towards battle in the sky surrounding airplanes on influence between conflicts, even if two hot babes jump in the air under oncoming paratroopers, reigning supreme above the clouds. Graphics are precisely detailed to taste and present ongoing images among battle scenes for the likes of green-eyed witches and soaring bats in Tower. In fact, on the second world, apart from the first world, eyeballs watch you closely near defeated weapons of interest, leading to more suspicion in a player's mind for drama along hell's side for ultimate defeat and agony. Can I be pleased with this pinball game? Yes and no. On one hand, I'm finding destiny in front of criminals who must suffer the consequences of fire and brimstone, thus making me appreciate that I'm on the virtuous light of God, rather than entering into a permanent hazard. Then again, the future has lots in store for me, and thoroughly, my suspicions may not be correct if I fail at pummeling against time and space in God's glory. Lunar Pinball obviously isn't for the faint of heart. Of course, you'll find exhibition after exhibition given into visuals that speak for glory and light, as well as restoration apart from certain darkness. For an example, on Hell, I can agree that it can be a torturous place, since it's basically the hotspot for failed gods who leave it to your stomach as opposed to the light. Wild colors bounce on and on within the untouchables provided for on the devil's side of violence, and Lunar Pinball can be as informative about the darkness as Shakespeare plays. My downloading screen for Tower Hell gives us an uncomforting message about hospitality from the horror-loving creatures who linger on the grave. Welcome to hell. Please hold. Hello. Those flying planes in the World War II-like dimension really cough out the spell for a textured pinball, reaching their spinning blades and ejected flames of thrust. Honestly, I've had some controller port issues with Lunar Pinball on my Atari Jaguar controller from the 90s, but in the very sense of time and space given to feature presentations along exaggerations, there's enough meat on the bone to satisfy the learning curve we've come to grips with on Atari games of this nature. Brilliant, extreme, and playable. And keep in mind with that, that is my acting and performance of a fictional devil retail clerk who works at the counter and says something like, "Welcome to hell, please wait." I'm acting there, and I'm playing a fictional role of this devil character. And well, this game may sound nasty, but actually it is important in terms of information on Halloween and information on hell. And this game does a very good job in presenting what we need to know about hell. And when it presents information on hell, with its fiction and fantasy and science fiction and religious fiction and such, it only gives the proper stories and symbols that relate to religious legends of God. It's not one of those kinds of careless works of art that treat religion as if like it is no different than a Pokemon card. I mean, no. This is the kind of game where it could really tell you what hell is really like according to what we know from history. You know, what we know from astronomy, what we know from science, what we know from religion. And it's not one of those games that, like, tries to show off too much by merely showing how ignorant someone is of legends and myths and commotions in our time of prolonged historical significance in humanity. You know, yeah. Now, hey, my devil character is kind of creepy there, huh? And he's a little nutty and weird. But, you know how they say that in each one of us, that there's an angel on this shoulder, and there's a devil on this shoulder? Well, if I had a devil on me, that's what I would sound like if there was a devil on me. Probably. But you see, that in of itself does get kind of interesting, which is that philosophy, that religion theory that that you can know who the angel is on your shoulder and who the devil is on your shoulder. And maybe you can even know what your consciousness is between those two figures. But it does get really tricky because religion is kind of like logical poetry, as in the kind of poetry, if you go to the sections of it, that's about like what the legends should be about according to what we have today for evidence. So, you know, I mean, definitely something weird was going on in the past. This video game shows it, obviously, because Ruiner Pinball is one of the really great games for the Atari Jaguar gaming console. But you can see, you know, a lot of evidence from a religion just in countries around us, you know. Pyramids, Statue of Liberty, a big, monstrous cathedrals and temples and mosques and like, you know, military armies and empires and past greatness of fallen leaders and, you know, Napoleon and Caesar and Ivan the Terrible. I mean, you know, when you look at a lot of that in history, you have to wonder, is it all really just a quick flash of the card? Is it really just a coin of the flip? I mean, there's got to be something really significant about the past. And what's frustrating about it is, and this is what frustrates my dad even about history, people today in America often just do not care very much about what happened in the past. Americans often do not care about the past in terms of like what it means to have oppression, what it means to have dictatorship, what it means to have evil, what it means to have dishonesty. One of the only reasons, really, that Americans pay attention to Adolf Hitler and the Nazis is because there's video footage of Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. And, you know, video footage does get sensitive to a lot of people. And video often does stimulate a lot of people. Even though it's like, well, yeah, but we also have history from periods in which we had no TV. So, I mean, are we going to judge more or less of how valuable history is depending on, like, whether there is the presence of TV or no TV. I think we need to take everything to heart and not just focus on just the video aspects of history, such as maybe a video of some military troop in Thailand going somewhere or whatever. We have to really focus with history, like on things like language, stars, planets, suns, moons, a lot of astrological stuff. And definitely, it can almost seem like the outer space is like a canvas for us to have so many thoughts about what it means to have creation, huh? However, we still need to be careful. You know why? In order to determine the real value of your beliefs, you must put your beliefs into practice and see how your beliefs impact people who relate or unrelate to the beliefs. For that reason, most ideologies in the world disappear very quickly and have no way of ever becoming a religion or a philosophy or a science or any of that. Things like religions, sciences, and philosophies are rare moments of success. Usually, ideologies is all we have, and they fade really quickly and disappear like ants in the ground. Anyways, I hope you enjoy Rune or Pinball for the Atari Jaguar, and this is my review for the game, and you take care and take it safe, guys.